Life doesn't change in the big moments. It changes in the quiet ones we almost miss. This is Days Like These. I'm Jay Malakasher, and I'm glad you're here. So now that we've stripped the feeling down to what it actually was, we can stop calling it love. Because what you felt was real, but what you named it, that's where everything got distorted. Let's stop pretending. If this was love, you wouldn't need 12 explanations, 4 friends, and a podcast episode to justify it. Love doesn't require a PowerPoint. You didn't stay because it was deep. You stayed because you were dysregulated. That's the difference. One is romantic. The other is neurological. Guess which one you keep dressing up like a movie? You say, but it felt intense. Yeah, so does caffeine and unresolved childhood trauma. Intensity is not proof of meaning, it's proof of activation. You didn't feel chemistry, you felt familiarity. Your body went, oh, this chaos feels like home. Congratulations, you met your pattern again. Here comes my favorite line, but I never felt like this before. Correct, because you've never been this dysregulated before either. That's not destiny, that's escalation. If this was love, explain something to me. Why did you lose sleep? Why did your appetite disappear or double? Why did your friends start asking if you were okay? Love doesn't eat your nervous system. Addiction does. You weren't obsessed because they were special. You were obsessed because the connection was intermittent. Hot, cold, gone, back again. That's not romance. That's a slot machine. And you kept pulling the lever. Let's talk about boundaries. You didn't struggle with them. You ignored them because boundaries interrupt the supply. Call it love if you want, but your body called it supply. And please stop saying, I know it was bad, but the good was so good. So is heroin. That's literally how addiction works. Here's another unpopular truth. If they were consistent, kind, available, emotionally mature, you probably wouldn't have been that attached. Boring doesn't spike cortisol, and that's the part nobody wants to admit, because if calm actually felt safe to you, you probably wouldn't have been this attached. What you were reacting to wasn't love. It was the spike, the crash, the relief afterward, which means you weren't afraid to lose them. You were afraid to lose the way your body finally shut down around them, and the panic you called love. That was withdrawal. Once you see that, something else becomes obvious. You don't ignore the red flags. You reframe them. He's just guarded. She's just overwhelmed. They've been hurt before. Yeah, so has most of the adult population. That's not personality. That's unfinished work. And once you start romanticizing the pattern, the spiritual explanations start falling apart too. Let's kill the soul tie nonsense while we're here. If it was spiritual, it wouldn't destroy your mental health. God doesn't bond people through anxiety attacks. Trauma does. Which means what you felt next wasn't destiny either. You didn't feel chosen. You felt temporarily prioritized. There's a difference. One builds stability, the other builds obsession. Here's the part you don't want to hear. If they text you right now, your heart rate would change. Not because you love them, but because your body remembers the hit. That's why closure didn't help. That's why answers didn't help. That's why insight didn't help. Addiction doesn't respond to explanations. It responds to absence and time. So when it ended, it didn't feel like clarity. It felt violent, not because you lost the love of your life, but because something interrupted the coping mechanism. Let me say this clean. If losing them felt like losing oxygen, that wasn't love. Love doesn't collapse your lungs. And no, this doesn't mean you're broken. It means you outsourced regulation and called it connection. A lot of people do that. Most just don't admit it. You didn't fall in love with them. You bonded to relief. Relief isn't a person, it's a sensation. And sensations fade. which is why eventually it stopped working and you called that heartbreak. You didn't lose the one. You lost access. That's not tragedy. That's detox. Stop romanticizing what nearly destroyed you. That's the series. I never felt this way before. Now you know why. If this hit, share it with someone who's still trying to call it love. Like it, send it, comment. Let it land where it needs to land. And if you heard yourself in this, good. That means you're not guessing anymore. This is Days Like These. Remember, you still matter.